If you know my channel, any video that I put out called Casket Scam, you're gonna think, oh, she's gonna tell us the tricks that funeral homes use to upsell you on caskets. Nope, that is not what this video is about. This video is about the perils of owning a small business in the internet age. The characters you need to know for this story are me, hi, hello, owner of the nonprofit funeral home Undertaking LA, the fabulous Amber, funeral director at Undertaking LA, and Bruce Perkins, casket buyer. At our funeral home, we sell several caskets and urns. Because we're an eco-friendly funeral home, all of those caskets and urns are made out of things like woven willow and bamboo and Himalayan salt. Because most funeral homes don't offer these options, in the past we've had people buy them from us just because they're Googling around, they see the clear prices on our website, and then email us. So we get an email from Bruce Perkins looking to buy a casket. Amber sends him our casket price list with all the information, and he decides he wants 5 seagrass caskets. Because you have the foreshadowing that this is a scam, I think it's important you know what a ridiculous artisanal handmade item this is to make the focal point of your scam.
The seagrass used to produce this casket is not harvested from a delicate marine environment, but rather cultivated by local farmers in paddy fields, similar to those in which rice is grown. This woven casket includes a natural tan cotton lining and pillow.
Yup. We sell those, and they're quite lovely. Each one of those is $1,400, which is a chunk of change, but if you know anything about casket prices, is actually very reasonable. This is when Bruce reveals that he wants the 5 caskets shipped to Denmark. Yes, this is a red flag, but it's not obviously scammy. He didn't say, I'm a Nigerian prince, ship the caskets to Nigeria and I'll send you gold. To be honest, our funeral home does a lot of off-the-beaten-path stuff, and it's totally conceivable that he's a funeral business in Denmark that wants these caskets but doesn't have access to them, or he's an artist. There's just a lot of reasons in our world that this could be legit. He sends us the address in Denmark. Amber Google Maps it, I'll insert it here. It looks kind of like an unmarked building under construction, but still not proof that this is a scam. But can we discuss this creepy ghost child in the window? Like, beware. Through these emails, it's obvious that Bruce doesn't have English as a first language, but he's from Denmark, so Bruce, that traditional Danish name. Bruce tells us, get the 5 caskets, we'll have an international freight company ship them to Denmark. The cost for the caskets plus the astronomical shipping is $11,500. Bruce insists that he still wants these caskets, so we give him 2 options. One is to pay with his credit card by PayPal, and the other is to use a secure international bank transfer service. He decides he wants to use PayPal, so we send him the invoice with the total amount, which he's gonna pay with his credit card on his end. What happens next is Bruce says,
well, I can't get PayPal to work on my end. I'm just gonna give you a call and give you the credit card number over the phone.
Amber calls PayPal, and it turns out that if we were to take his credit card over the phone and enter it on our end, if it comes from our IP address, it makes null and void any fraud protection that PayPal offers us, meaning that if anything went wrong, we would be responsible for the full $11,500 bill. At this point, we're clear on what is happening. We don't get it, but we know that it's a scam. I have a feeling this man doesn't really want artisanal eco-friendly caskets. So I go into research mode, and it turns out you can find lots of stories online about small businesses targeted for about $10,000 in these specific shipping scams. The scammer pays the full amount for your product on a stolen credit card, and then you're supposed to pay several $1,000s to a bogus shipping company. Back 6 or 7 years ago, these scams were much more obvious than they are now, like, I need ice cream carts sent to Ghana, and when you Google the shipping company, it's obviously fake, which only shows that the scammers are getting more sophisticated. The smart thing that Bruce Perkins did, if that is your real name, it's not, is that the international shipping company that he had us get a quote from was Think Worldwide. When you Google Think Worldwide, it's a totally legit shipping company. But when you get the invoice back, which Bruce himself facilitated, it says Think World Wild, which you might not even notice. And even if you did, when you Google Think World Wild, you only get results for Think Worldwide. So you're back to being like, oh yeah, legit. This whole thing ended with Amber asking me if she could kind of scam the scammers. And I was like, no, yeah, why not? So she emails Bruce and the shipping company as multiple different characters, one that has a terrible fear of death but is looking forward to Thanksgiving, one that accidentally sent a dead body to Cairo, Egypt, one that wants to share Delta Air Miles with him. This does not deter Bruce at all because he really thinks he's got us. Finally, Amber gets the information she's been waiting for, which is all of the bank information that they say is for the shipping company that we're supposed to wire several $1,000s to, like we would ever do that. Instead, Amber calls the bank, which is actually a very small chain in Georgia and Alabama, and tells them that someone is using their accounts to accept fraud payments, which they were not too happy about. Have you ever been scammed? Did we do the right thing? All's well that ends well for us, but we're a small nonprofit funeral home whose operating budget is like $11,000, so it's a really good thing that we did not bankrupt ourselves and make fools of ourselves. Today, at least. Brought to you with support from People's Memorial Association and the Co-op Funeral Home, and donations from viewers like you.
Beware.